I'm Jenny with the Charleston Reiki and Wellbeing Center, and I just wanted to do a quick video using EFT about pet loss and pet grief. And this can be an issue that is something new for you or something that is very old. If you have not done tapping with me before, even if you've done it with somebody else, because I do things just a little bit different, if you do the, where it says read more, just down below the screen, there's a link that I will put there for my original like EFT basics that'll give you ideas on how this exactly works. So you can check there first and see where the tapping points are to make it easier for you to follow along. But what we're going to be doing right now is just a short sequence, and this is very generalized. So keep in mind that if you were doing a specific session with me, it would be very specific to your situation. Now I am going to use someone's situation. We'll call her Mary. Hi, Mary. You know who you are. But you know, because I'm not working directly with Mary right now, I don't have all the details. She just gave me a very simple, you know, couple of sentence outline of what happened and what she's dealing with. And so I'm just going based on that alone. Whereas if I'm working with somebody one-on-one, you know, we're working either in person or over the phone. And so I'm getting constant feedback from that individual and a lot more details about the situation. Now, for those of you that are in any kind of a loss situation, even if it's a person, it doesn't have to be a pet, although that's what this is more geared towards, you can follow along because there is what's called borrowing benefits. So even if the specifics of this don't apply to you, please go ahead and tap along and follow along with me because it might take the edge off whatever it is that is actually bothering you, whether it is a loss or even a completely different situation. So for just a little bit of a background, Mary is now, I believe, Mary, you're about 30 years old or close to it right now, late 20s, early 30s, somewhere thereabouts. So when Mary was 9 years old, her beloved pet ferret, whose name was Bandit, had to be unfortunately euthanized. And she was only 9. It's not like she had the ability to make these kinds of decisions on her own, but the vet said that she could not go back and be present during the euthanasia because it would be too traumatic for her. And that's commonplace. I mean, even with adults, they commonly do that, right? But in this situation, it had the opposite effect because all these years later, Mary is still dealing with a lot of guilt and a lot of really negative feelings about not being with her ferret when he passed away. So we're going to go ahead and just dive right into this and just do a short, brief sequence. Mary, please tap along with me. Hopefully it'll take a little bit of the edge off and we can always do more at another time. And everybody else just tap along with me. And you know, whatever your specific issue is, you can either say the same words or you can say your own words as a substitute for what I'm saying. And either way, it's going to be at least a little bit helpful. So we start on the karate chop. And after I say the words, you're going to repeat after me. So tapping on the karate chop. Even though I feel so awful that I couldn't be there with my sweet little baby when he passed, I deeply and completely love and accept myself anyway. Even though I still feel so terrible after all these years that I wasn't with my baby when he passed. I'm trying to forgive myself, but I deeply and completely love and accept myself anyway. Third time. Even though I couldn't be with my beloved Bandit when he passed, and it's been so many years and I haven't been able to let that go, and I still feel awful about it, I deeply and completely love and accept myself anyway. We're going to take a deep breath, shake out your fingertips a little bit. If you have a glass of water nearby, now is a good time to take a sip of water. It's important to be hydrated during this process. Another deep breath. And now we're going to tap on the eyebrow point. You can do this with both hands or with just one. One side is fine. So I like to do both. I couldn't be with Bandit when he passed. Side of the eye. I still feel terrible about that. Remember, you're repeating after me. It's been so many years. But I can't seem to let that go. the chin point. I still feel awful about that, even after so many years. And on the collarbone, I'd really like to let go of that feeling. And on the liver point. But part of me doesn't want to let go of it, because it feels like if I do, then somehow I'm betraying him. And wrists, I like to just tap them together. You can do this too, but I find that awkward. If I stop feeling awful that I wasn't with Bandit at the end of his life, I feel like I might be betraying him. Under the arm, that's right where the bra strap comes around. I would never betray Bandit. I loved him. And I think he knew that. Top of the head. It still feels horrible though. I should have been there. Eyebrow. I feel like I should have been there, but I know I was only 9. Side of the eye. I had to trust the judgment of the adults that were there. Under the eye. I was 9 years old and it wasn't my decision to make. And under the nose. They were making the best decision they could for me at the time, hoping to spare me pain. Chin. And even though I know all this logically, it's been so hard to let it go after all these years. Collarbone. But it's so painful. And even though I'll always miss him, I think I'm ready to let go of that feeling. Liver point. I'll always love him, but I don't have to feel terrible that I wasn't with him anymore. Wrists. He knew I loved him, and that's the important thing. Under the arm. And I will always love him. But I don't have to feel awful about that anymore. I was a little girl, and it wasn't my fault. And top of the head. I was a little girl, and it wasn't my fault. And Bandit knew that I loved him. And I'm ready to let go of this awful feeling now. Because I know that I loved him too. And I know that I did the very best that I could to take good care of him, even though I was so young. I'm ready to let it all go now. Deep breath and let it all out. And again, if you have water nearby and it's appropriate for you, you might want to take a sip and just kind of breathe and let whatever thoughts come up. And I know this has just been a very short, brief exercise, and maybe, because sometimes this happens, maybe it did clear out that awful feeling. Probably not. Usually just a brief sequence like this, especially when we haven't really connected and honed it down to the fine details. Usually something that brief doesn't make that huge of a difference, but at the very least it can take the edge off. And again, when I work with somebody one-on-one, I'm getting a lot more details. We're spending a lot more time. We're doing a lot more rounds of this. And it does over time, maybe in one session, maybe in multiple sessions, depending on the specifics. but it does end up working and just neutralizing those emotions. And it doesn't take away the love, it doesn't take away the fact that you loved him. There might still be some regret, but not that awful feeling. And that's what we're trying to get rid of, are those feelings of guilt, feeling awful, those types of things, because that's not healthy to hold on to. So the whole goal is to let those types of things go. Doesn't mean you're ever going to stop loving him or forget what happened. Okay, so that was just a brief little tapping sequence, and I hope that's been helpful for you, Mary, and for anybody else out there that is dealing with a similar type of issue or something totally different. Might have taken the edge off for you because of that borrowing benefits, like we like to call it. So thank you for joining me today, and we're going to be doing some more of these in the coming weeks, months, years, hopefully continually. So tune back in. If you enjoyed this and if it was at all helpful, I hope you go ahead and click the like button down below and consider subscribing. And I don't know if you guys know, YouTube is always changing things around, and they've got this thing now where they won't send you a notification unless you also, after you click subscribe, also click on the little bell icon that's next to it. So weird, right? You would think if you subscribe, it would be automatic. But anyway, so if you do that, you'll also get the notifications for when I post a new video. So thank you for joining me, and namaste.